I am discussing the Artisans. Artisans are pretty much from this board going down, the symbol for the Artisans, but first I wish to explain the top of the board so there's less confusion than if I did not explain that. I am certain there will be confusion and I have no means of remedying that. Deal with it. But, so we got the we have Yggdrasil, Behemoth, and Leviathan. I am not writing their actual names down. However, over here, I have not worked on these two trees as much. Yggdrasil created the Fae, and then the Fae created the Elves. When Yggdrasil and the Fae mate, their byproducts are trees. Are just vegetation. When these two mate, they create all the different forms of elves, I guess, or the fairies, I guess, or fays. Right now I'm going with I probably shouldn't reference other material. So I guess I'm really just discussing Celtic like fae. No, not the Celtic fays. Celtic fays would be the byproducts of the elves and the fays having good times. So, but then that goes into their tree, which I really have to figure out. But Yggdrasil is very neutral. Behemoth is good. Leviathans are evil. I'm doing this because of the D&D mythos. They basically have the 9x9 square, no, the 3x3 square that has 9 items in it. Goes like good, evil, neutral. If you know D&D, I'm sure you're aware of the thing, but it's the alignment chart. I want to have each one of the alignments. Chaos is obviously from chaos, order, lawful. I'm pretty much inferring as order. And then since they were also lazy and did not want to come up with another term for neutral, I am not coming up with another format for neutral, because neutral is boring unless you're talking about like 3rd edition neutral, but that's an argument for a different day. So this is all of the work, but I wish to focus more of this discussion on this side. I'm starting with Io, and I'm still keeping the children Bahamut and Tidmat. However, I'm changing the story a bit. For those who are unaware, 5th edition currently has their own lore. I think they're known as Wizard of the Coast. I think that's the technical term. Regardless. 5th edition's current telling of the tale of how dragons are created was a titan, or I guess a giant attacked Io, sliced into, and the offspring were these two children, or things. Bahamut eventually had the metallic dragons, which are 5 different species of dragons. Tiamat also had the chromatic dragons. Those are the main. They also were 5, so they kind of like counteract each other. It's a great way of just explaining dragons and also allowing you to have a character that is good or chaotic based off that, which is fine. I don't really like the tell, just because, I don't know. I guess it's, the logic behind it is simplistic, I want to say. I don't want to like be cruel to the creators of it. I'm sure they put a lot of work in it. I'm reworking it for my own purposes, so I guess I'm not going to say what I don't like about the tale. I'm just going to say I had not emotions, that's weird. I had reason to change it to better, so it benefits my story instead of detriment it, because if I use what they previously used, it would just be a crutch, and I'm trying not to use crutches. I do still want to use names that are really common because there's something about our society, the concept of there's nothing new under the sun. So if I use things that have already been created, like if I use the term Dracula, it inspires certain ideas in someone. I know comic books use this a lot. Instead of making an archetype, they use the person that already fits the archetype, and they don't usually change it. But that's reasoning. I want to actually get into the tells. Leviathan had created the dragons. Out of the dragons, a lot of the names just get lost to history because, let's be honest, no one wants to know about every John in the world. However, one name that did reach out was Io. Io, this is his actual symbol. It's a little bit better made. It was made with actual software and not just pencil. Either way, Io had 2 children, twins, and that was Beamhot and Tiamat. If you're going to insinuate I'm pronouncing that wrong, fuck you. I am pronouncing that the correct way. That was really harsh. Probably shouldn't have been that harsh. I apologize. But it's, yeah. So Beamhat, they both went to do their own things to, make a name for themselves. Beamhat studied order, Tiamat studied chaos, and I don't really know where this one went after that, nor do I care. It's something I will discover if my players are interested in, but it's not something I'm going to do on my own time unless I get bored. So there's a very high chance I will do it. Not that I get bored a lot, but I get bored a lot. Tiamat, but he's the one I'm focusing on. Bahamut. Probably have said like 5 different names for him. This guy. He, as you notice, there's these 7 little dots and supposed to look like birds. However, they don't. And each one of these 7 birds are a representation of the 7 creations of the 7 ideals of something. Order. Yeah, that's the something. During this time, the dragons also created the humans, which at this day and age, because these 3 are now immortals, the original cycle was these were eventually supposed to grow up, form the lands, because that's their power. They had so much energy and power they could actually form mountains, valleys, and the trees, the beasts, all of that. That was their job. And then the next, all their job was, so then they were supposed to grow up, pass their knowledge on to the next generation, then die. That was their original purpose. However, now that immortality has been introduced into the world, they have not gone. They have not departed and thus entered into a world where there's no simple solution. It's almost, there's a parallel to our modern world, but I don't want to get into the parallel just because then it's going to sound like I'm talking politically, which I don't intend to talk politically. I don't know enough politically. I merely just know what I see off my top of my head, so that's my reasoning. So when the next great-grandchildren enter the world, they're pretty much slaves. Elves are treated like shite. Giants aren't, but they are rebelling pretty hardcore. And then humans are pretty much slaves at this point. However, there are some humans who understand the world they're in and are trying to find a solution. One such human was named Jade. That's her. That's her symbol. She had a little necklace with a jade on it. At that time, I guess it was just a green rock. I don't know when names. It's interesting to think about the discovery of words. Jade was a slave to Bahamut. This guy. Every time I say his name, I just know I'm doing it wrong. And she named each one of the 7. She's the one who gave them the names, And these are the 7. You may be asking yourself, you, sir, cannot count. And you are right. However, I am not wrong in this certain situation. One of these qualities, I have my own quality that I'm picking. One of these qualities are fake and was created by Chaos, which he may have done. I'm not sure if I want to give him credit. Or it. Because I guess it has 5 different bodies. I don't know if you know Tiamat, but Tiamat has 5 different heads. It's like a Hydra, but like a overpowered Hydra. Each one of the heads are different colors, and it's cool looking. But Tiamat, so I don't really want to say like he or she. I don't know if it counts as that. I haven't done enough research to figure out the gender or the correct pronouns I'm supposed to use with Tiamat. I feel like that was just a can of worms. But the qualities. Jade came up with a plan in order for her. She was a very impressive jewelress. That's not the word. It's a jewelry. It's a gemsmith. Jeweler. Either way, she was a jeweler. And she came, her plan was to propose that there should be a society of artisans, each one of them perfecting their craft to make better and better quality things. And thus, with this better quality, they are allowed a little bit more freedom. They can have their own village and their own way of governing themselves. However, each year, I've discussed this previously, on the New Year's, they have to give gifts to the Leviathans in order for them to stay within their protection. Being a hat, I guess, no longer can control them because I guess they're directly under the Leviathans. Leviathans are the big dogs. I don't know if... I think I am saying there's more than one Leviathan. In my head, there's always been like a family of Leviathans, so I guess I don't imagine the same with these 2. So that's interesting. I guess there is only one Leviathan. I don't like that, but it makes most sense story-wise. I can't think of a reason not to, so I'm going to go with it. So yeah, under the leadership of Jade, she created the 7 families and is the founder of the Artisans. And 7 generations have passed in the time since our heroes have entered into the world. The heroes are the players, would be set inside this village, and they do have to pick one of these 8 to be their family. I'll make my own video describing each one of the 8 because they are somewhat complicated. I don't know how long I've been talking. I probably should have done a timer. But I think that's all I wanted to discuss for this video. I don't think you can see this one, which all this one is just dots. It has a light green to it. And if you're wondering about the colors do matter, but not the specific colors. I do have a limitation when it comes to supplies, so I had to use the stuff I had to work with. So as many colors as you see in here, about the amount of colors I used. I don't use brown or black just because they're boring. But, ooh. I mean, like the colors, when you're talking about like a broad scheme of colors, also, I'm just kind of dig myself into a hole there. Communing, understanding, knowing, being, and then it goes down. This is supposed to be a whole entire line. I only had to divide it up due to space issues. But being, foretelling, creation, destruction, and existing. This one is obviously the weakest symbol. I want to change it because it's very similar to the yin yang symbol. However, I cannot figure out another way to change it. This one's also weak. Knowing, I just did a scroll. It's kind of lame. This is supposed to look like a jade, a 7-sided cut gem. However, apparently drawing that is a little bit more difficult than I thought. So, like I said, these just have the names on them, which I will later go in and describe each one of these societies. Parallelism, I'm not going to go too deep into it of how I'm paralleling this to modern society, but Leviathans are based off of English kingships where there's like, the hierarchy shit. What's it called? I forgot. But where it's the king at the head, then you have the nobles, then you have the serfs, or the peasants. You also have like the art. I'm sure. I forgot the system's name. This horatory system is based off of. I didn't explain it as well in my. I cannot think of a name right now. In the Beahoff video, Behemoth. In the Behemoth video, I did not explain this concept very well. The Behemoth is very good. It allows the Titans to shave its wool or whatever it produces off its skin, and they take the byproducts of the Behemoth and give back to the lands, and they also produce beasts that are very high demand that make a lot of byproducts, because they realize that if the Titans went out into the land, all they would do is just destroy it. It's not a great system. It's more like the Vikings where they like plundered villages. However, that can only work for so long. That's why the Vikings kind of like ended. Not exactly the reason. I'm paraphrasing. Don't go into a horror speech.